think it's time we talk about Berserk. Now, I'm a big fan of Berserk. I read this years ago when I was still in high school. I've read it all the way back to cover. All the volumes I used to carry in my blazer jacket, and I would read them every day. I was at high school and at varsity. Now, I do feel like yes, it has like very dark subject material, especially SA, which is like a big theme in the book. It's a very important story part. The use of it, it can be egregious. I can understand that criticism completely. My issue with that is that if you're going to show how shocking something is, you have to hammer home how shocking it is. You can't just go, oh yeah, I showed it once, and then later down the line one person mentions it and it's like, okay, cool. The whole point of Berserk is to show the horror and the suffering these characters go through, right? Casca being the main victim, but Guts was the first victim in the series of that, right? And people are like, oh, they just skim over it. No, they don't, right? One of the first scenes that you see of that happening is a dude like hovering over Guts and doing some unspeakable things to him, right? He was a little boy when that happened, right? She escaped that barely because of Griffith saving her when she was a kid, a child, right? Barely escaping that. Griffith had to go through the same thing as well. He just had to trick himself into not thinking that it was worth it for his cause, for his dream, essentially. The core of this story is broken people finding each other, trying to find something to hold on to. Casca and Guts' love for each other is real. It's the realest they can ever be. Like, she's infatuated with Griffith, but she loves Guts, right? She's infatuated with Griffith because he saved her from a life of horror. And then what happens at the eclipse happens, and then she breaks. Like, she breaks because she suffers the most out of every character during the eclipse. Like, what Griffith does to her, right, eclipses what Griffith did to Guts, basically. Like, he can't even open up to anyone. Guts can't even open up to anyone properly. The time he does tell Casca that he unalived someone, he doesn't go into specifics. He does tell her what he did to his father eventually, after that whole nice little romantic scene that they have together where they basically show everything about themselves. They just basically bear everything and they are just together for that moment because they know they can be safe together for that moment. This is, a lot of people go through trauma and sometimes you can't open up to anyone. And Guts never had that chance at all. Like, he could kind of talk to Griffith, but after Griffith told him he can't be friends with him if he doesn't share a dream, or like Griffith basically said that and Guts overheard that. He knows Griffith's not his friend, and that the whole thing with him leaving the Band of the Hawk is him trying to be equal to Griffith so he can call himself his friend. That was the whole point of that. Griffith obviously took that massively the wrong way and then tried to do whatever he did. Also, during the time that what happened to Casca happened, Guts was still sane enough to actually get a support group to help him through that. Casca's mind was still reeling, and people complaining about the fact that it takes so long for from a lot of the stories she is still this way, is because the reason she's this way is because it took Miura years to get the art done for this. He took painstaking detail for every panel. For the time they were on the boat, basically, that was 5 years, more than 5 years of artwork and storytelling to get off of the boat to the Elf Island type thing, where they eventually healed her. I'm happy that he actually got there before Miura's passing to actually bring Casca back to a satisfactory state. Seeing this image is one of the most heart-wrenching and heartwarming events in all of Berserk, and I'm happy that at least Miura, before his passing, was able to do this, give us this because this is what he wanted all along as well. He wanted us to go through this journey of these broken people, basically coming to terms with what happened to them and actually trying to fix them. She's not completely all there yet, but the fact that we got this, it's amazing. And we got this just prior. This is a scene where they're trying to fix Casca's psyche in her mindscape using Guts as a guide. Very cool, really love this story. And I'm glad we got this, honestly. This panel as well, really showing that he does care about this character. Everyone is like saying, because of what she went through, the SA she went through, is like treated differently, that kind of stuff. It's like, yes, it is, right? Because Guts' one is more like, it's in your face, quick, clean, done, because his is not as bad, right? I'm not trying to equate SAs here, but what happened to her is much worse than what happened to Guts, right? What happened to him is horrible, but what happened to her is even worse. And he's trying to explain that to you, which is why her mind is broken, right? So people saying, oh no, it's egregious. It's like, no, it's proportionate to what the world is trying to show you and basically explain to you, whereas, and also show you what it did to her psyche, right? None of the other characters that go through the story went through what she did. So it's like showing to you that even through all that, she still came back, right? The whole journey is to get her back. And basically, yes, there's going to be a revenge thing at the end, I think, I hope, but we'll see. So to bring it full circle again, though, we got Casca at her peak, right? But we've also got Casca at her lowest, right? And it's basically, this whole story is basically trying to get Guts to a point where he can actually get her back, right? His whole journey is to get her back. He's also, with his trauma, he was so selfish that he basically left her on her own because he needed to do his mission, right? He acknowledges that that was dumb, to leave the only person, anything that he cared about, alone so he can fight his demons alone because of his anger, right? So halfway through the story with the conviction art stuff that happens, he goes back to try and help her, to keep her with him always, because he can't be without her, because he knows he threw away the only thing that he loved. So when people say they don't handle the SA stuff well, it's like, no, they handle it proportionately, because the world is not sunshine and rainbows. It's not like your average fantasy world like Lord of the Rings, where everything is just happy-dory after like the biggest thing that happens. They have to show you proportionately all the stuff that happens. I love this series because I know Miura put so much effort into these two characters. The love and respect that he showed both these characters is amazing. Yes, horrible stuff happens to both of them, but more so to Casca, yes, because he wanted to illustrate just how badly Griffith betrayed them, right? He betrayed both of them, but he betrayed her the most. The one person that he saved her. Yes, to use her, but at the same time, he actually cared for her and he still used her and he did those horrible things to her. So people need to understand where Miura is coming from with this story.